Welcome to another episode of Live from the Wish House with me, Chris Spinner. If you're a regular, welcome back. And if it's your first time, I am so happy you are joining us. My path profoundly changed when my son was diagnosed with autism. My marriage collapsed, and I began to develop my own Cris-losophies to navigate and thrive. I'm here to connect with you, to share, learn, and together we can open our minds to creating the life we love to live. So please subscribe, like, share, and most importantly, comment below because I would love to hear your thoughts, feelings, and stories. So the other night, I was scrolling through my Facebook and there was a little meme. At first, I thought it was actually a call for a group to be started, but it wasn't. It was a meme and it said, I'm looking for a small group of women who know they are outgrowing their current identity. I read it twice, and by the second reading, I was screaming in my living room all by myself with my laptop there. Oh my God, that is me. So that begs the question is anybody else having issues like this, even at a certain age? I mean, even at any age. It made me feel when I was reading that, like I'm kind of learning right along with all of you. I'm learning right along with all of my friends. So I'm going to ask you that question. Are you part of a small group of women who know they are outgrowing their current identity? I'm going to tell you how this is feeling for me. And I'm wondering if you are feeling the same thing. So I have a lot of people in my life. I've been trying to change the whole narrative around saying I have a lot of friends because recently I've been discovering that what actually is a friend? Somebody who I feel has been in your life long enough, a tried and true human being who's coming to you with all of your flaws exposed and knows all of your insecurities and is there for you. Is there for all your triumphs, is there for all of your sadness, accepts who you are. Perhaps you have the occasional butting of heads, but that to me is a friend. And I think we've lost sense of what the word friend means in general. Everybody's our friend. Oh, I have a friend. Oh, that cashier at the store is my friend. Oh, that bank teller is my friend. Oh, the person I see every day on the street corner waiting for the bus is my friend. Are they really your friends or are they acquaintances? Are there people in your community that you've met along the way? Are they colleagues? A lot of times I'll say, oh, I have a really long time college friend, when in actuality, there was somebody that lived on my hall that I did spend my college career with 4 years, but we weren't exactly besties. We didn't go out all of the time. I just saw them every day. Does that constitute a friend? And then, of course, when social media came along, in particular Facebook, it's add a friend. I have 957 friends. Do you really? I think I probably have 1,000 or more friends on my Facebook page, and there's probably 3 of those people who I would seriously consider a friend in the true definition of that. So number one, I've been reflecting on that a lot lately. I've been thinking, Maria Shriver says that all the time. She says, I've been thinking. So I don't want to steal her line. I might add to it. I've been overthinking because I think and then I add right on. But I've been thinking about the fact that I think I might be outgrowing some of the relationships in my life. Is there anybody else that's outgrowing friends, outgrowing acquaintances, outgrowing circles that you've socialized in? Or have you not been honest about things with the people who you really do consider friends? Are you afraid to share what you're really thinking about something? Because I think I am. The first thing that comes to my mind is the political scene. So many people have real opinions now. And we're inundated on social media with opinion that either coincides with ours because we're scrolling through and we see something that we like. Of course, the algorithm kicks in everything else. And then a ton of that stuff that they're kicking in is misinformation to kind of pad your belief system with what you feel connected to. or you're scrolling and you're seeing things that you vehemently disagree with and that sparks some anger in you. But what did we do before social media? We didn't have all of these influences coming at us, maybe to make our opinions even stronger than they really are. But I'm finding in that venue, in that purview alone, I am sometimes afraid to share what I really think with friends. Me, an outspoken person who has opinions, who wants people to jump on my bandwagon, who likes to throw around some pseudo advice, if you will, a little counsel, my own Cris-losophy, which I think is worth listening to. But I find myself with longtime friends, people that have been in my life for decades, that I don't want to hurt their feelings, or I feel like if I take my own stand, that I'm going to lose their friendship. And I find some of these people have no problem telling me what it is they're actually thinking about. They have no problem telling me their opinion. But I sometimes feel a little bit afraid to do that. It's something I'm working on. Like, how can I come to my podcast? How can I come to my forum? How can I come to a table and say, be authentic, be who you are? Because I know that's 100% true. When we're in our own authentic skin, we feel really good about ourselves. And when we're not, we don't. And I wonder sometimes if I'm actually outgrowing these friends, or I'm putting a little salt on that wound by not testing the friendship and saying, you know what? I respect your opinion, or I value your thoughts, because sometimes we don't actually respect the opinion that is completely opposite from ours. I value your thoughts, but they're not mine. Why is that so hard for us to do? Why is that so hard for us to do when we know in our soul that what we're thinking feels right to us? The next level of that for me has been, I know what I'm thinking, and I want to do more about that. I want to take more action. I was watching a Hulu series called Mrs. America. It's the story of the ERA and the women's lib movement, as they called it when I was growing up. And the women that shaped that, Gloria Steinem and Betty Friedan and Bella Abzug, and Shirley Chisholm, and how they were working against the Eagle Forum, I think they called it, with Phyllis Schlafly, who was the outspoken critic of the ERA. And I've seen this series 3 times now. It's like my obsession with The West Wing and The Sopranos, but I digress. But I was watching it the other night, and the reason that I decided to watch it was because when I see that movie, when I see that series, when I see that history, and watch how women weren't afraid to just stand up and share and be upfront and say, this is who I am, and I'm going to fight for that. Just in watching that, I get like secondhand empowerment. I feel like that's an incredible thing, to be able to say out loud who you are and take that to the degree that you want to take that. Because if you don't do that, you end up not being in your authentic skin. And I think that makes you feel not right about yourself, not stable about yourself. It gives you a little bit of anxiety, and it can make you lonely. Because I find for some reason that doesn't catapult me into then figuring out, well, where can I find more friends that are like-minded? Where can I go to seek that out? I have some sort of thing in the back of my head that's some sort of a betrayal to the friends that I've had my whole life. That somehow, if I'm leaving them behind and moving toward finding something that's more authentic for me, that there's something kind of sad about that. Something kind of bittersweet about that. But why can't we be all things? Why doesn't that expression, two things can be true at once. Why can't that actually hold true in our lives? Why can't I have an opposite political opinion of a friend's, but still continue to be that person's friend? A 40-year relationship, which is made up of so much more than just one ideology. And would that not make another person feel more respected, make me feel more respected? Wouldn't that make me feel like that person has more respect for me in the long run, and thereby empower me more? So it brings me back to, am I actually outgrowing my current identity? Perhaps, because I've found in my 67 years that my opinions about things, my ideas, my newfound passions or hobbies, or my attitudes towards certain things have certainly changed. I guess at core we stay the same, but in each decade I've definitely grown. I'm totally not the same person I was in my 20s. I mean, how can we be? We would hope that we're not when we get into our 60s. But as I explain my own journey as it relates to things that I think about and that I think that we all think about, my big moment, my big aha moment came in my 40s. You know, in the beginning of my podcasts, it says that my life profoundly changed when my son was diagnosed with autism, which is 100% true. Everything that I had created, everything that I thought was going to happen for me, all of my identity, my ideas, and perhaps even my value system was all crumbled up once that happened. That was the pinnacle. My son was diagnosed with autism. He wasn't yet 3. It says this in my introduction, but it is exactly true. My marriage collapsed, and then I felt for the first time in my adult life on my own. I felt separate from everybody else, separate from my friends who were pretty much all married, separate from my family who, whether they were saying it or not, had that umbrella of, you know, you're not supposed to be divorced. You're not supposed to have a crumbled marriage. You're not supposed to be a single mom. You're not supposed to be worried about who's going to take care of your child if you can't get home from your work in time. So I found myself in a new identity and very much alone emotionally. And so I did have to kind of sift through. It was definitely a beginning of, okay, so who are you actually? I say often that was a very big eye-opening moment for me and a second chance for me to discover exactly who I was. Identity has always been for me a daunting subject. My identity for me has always been a daunting event in my life. Maybe for all of us. Who am I? What am I? Where am I going? I didn't have the foundation for that. I didn't have the skill set developed for that in my younger years for a variety of reasons, which I've spoken about before and will speak about again. But so identity for me has always been difficult. And wrapped up in that identity has always been a piece of people pleasing. There's always been a modicum of, you need to do as your parents say. You need to do as society says. You need to, on some level, be cognizant of what your husband is thinking. And that's how I was raised. And whether or not I was coming up through my 20s and 30s with a little more liberation, if you will, it was still stuck in my head. So at age 40, 41 years old was the second chance of, okay, you're going to get to raise yourself now. You're going to get to find your own current identity. You're going to be able to find the space in which you feel most comfortable. So when I saw that sentence, looking for a small group of women who know they are outgrowing their current identity, it really, truly felt very natural for me, because I find when I'm not allowing myself to be me, I can end up in a functional freeze. I can literally end up not doing much in one day because I don't feel motivated, because I don't feel like me, like the real me. Like I'm not giving myself a chance at discovering and pushing who I am out into the forefront. And when I do give myself that chance, I feel so incredibly empowered. So why aren't I doing that all the time? And what might be supplementing or taking the place of that empowerment? I think for a lot of women, it's social media. It's my favorite topic, social media. Social media is my favorite topic because I have a completely love-hate relationship with it. I mean, I'm on it all day. Well, not all day, but I'm on it for a vast majority of time for networking, for promotion, for content creating. But I've definitely limited my personal time or my personal content on these forums because I keep asking myself, what is the point of this? And the more and more I'm working on, am I outgrowing my current identity or am I allowing myself to blossom just a little more? The more I'm working on that, the more when I open my social media, I shake my head because I think we are replacing those tougher questions. I think we are replacing those moments of introspection with creating something outside of ourselves that's making other people believe that's who we are. And then we get that little dopamine hit of, yeah, that's who I am. I'm the girl that went out to lunch with my cousin. Here I am with my pictures, drinking my Chardonnay. That's me, smart Chardonnay drinking woman having lunch in the weekday with my cousin. And other people think that that's true too. But it's not true. Then we shut that laptop or we close that phone and we're kind of left back again in our lonely state of not really facing, like, what are we doing? Are we allowing our authentic selves to come forth? Are we doing any work on that? Are we just kind of buzzing through it? Because I think we're just kind of buzzing through it. And that's why I think we're so anxious. And that's why I think we find ourselves in lonely or sad positions. And that's why I find so much of my social media feed filled with these memes about it's okay if you're having a bad day. It's okay if you have to take care of yourself. I mean, I think at one point there was a place for those kind of sentiments because the pendulum had swung. We were so stoic, in watching Mrs. America. It reminded me so much of my childhood because it takes place right in the center of it, the 60s and the 70s. The movie ends in 1979 when I had been in college then, I guess, a couple of years. But I still consider that my childhood, so to speak, my adolescence. I don't think I turned 20. But it's so true to watch how we were taught to be stoic, to be, we have to do this because the community expects that. We have to do this because our family expects that. So I think that we're still hanging on to that's not such a good idea. Now we need to give ourselves the grace and the self-hug to remind ourselves that what we're thinking is okay and it's okay to have a bad day. But I think we've passed that too. I think the expiration date for memes that say it's okay if you're going through a hard time. It's okay if you're not feeling yourself today. It's okay if you're disappointed in what you're doing. And these are things that I do believe. You can start a new life at any time. Well, that's a big mantra of mine. 100% we can start a new life for ourselves at any time. But when I read those memes, I don't think it really is meant to actually light the fire and start anything. It's just kind of reminding you there's more time for you. And right now you're feeling anxious. And right now you're feeling a little off balance. And that's okay. So we find ourselves in this anxiety state, a little bit of a sad state. And then we give our permission to do that because the meme says that's okay. And then we post having our Chardonnay lunch with our cousin on social media. And everybody gives us 2 hearts for that, 2 thumbs up and hearts. And you look great. You're having a great time. And you convince yourself that that's really your life. What did we do before that? How did we validate ourselves before that? How did we validate ourselves before that? We validated ourselves by, I'm thinking back in my life, by calling my friends, my true friends, and saying, I just got this job promotion. and they say, let's go out and celebrate that. There's a connection. Or I call up and I say, I think my husband is going to leave me. I remember the night I called my friend Nadine and said that. And I don't know, within an hour, there were 3 friends, Nadine and 2 more friends, that she had called at my door before Facebook. So what do we do then? We actively participated in our own emotions and our own feelings instead of creating images that make us feel for the second that we're onto something. But then when we close that laptop, we don't feel that we're onto anything. So are you a person that right now, are you a woman that right now feels like you're outgrowing what you have been conditioned to be in? Maybe we need to take our lesson or take a page out of that era of ERA, out of that I am woman, hear me roar, out of that if you present yourself in your most authentic manner, then those people, it's like any relationship, a friend relationship or a romantic relationship. When we present ourselves in our most authentic way, we attract the people in that we're supposed to attract. You have the right friends, then your real Chardonnay lunch feels exuberating when it's done. It feels that you've done something really connective. You know, I'm in where I live, I'm running these women's events now that are all about connection because I feel we don't have real connection where people are seeing us with the hair the way it looks today or in the outfit that we choose to show up in and in the headspace that we're in, and we can connect with other women and connect with other friends in our authentic manner instead of looking at it on a social media. I have to say this. The other day I saw a friend and she had posted on social media that she had a great dinner with her family out, I guess her extended family. They had gone out to eat and she said, what a great time. And it was so wonderful. And there were just a couple of extra sentences in there and it just felt like, wow, that's really nice. And so when I saw her, I said, and I hate saying this, how you doing? Oh, I kind of know because I've already saw it on social media. Do you find yourself saying that? Like, what does that even mean? How are you doing? And then you answer it by saying, I saw it on social media. But I said those words. And I said, I saw you had that great meal with your family at the restaurant. That looked really nice. That was really, really nice. And she looked back at me and she said, oh, it was okay. What? Oh, it was okay, she said. Like, where was all the exuberance of that post? That kind of, I felt a little verklempt reading it. Like, wow, what a nice family. And she said, it was okay. And I didn't even want to ask because I thought, there we have it. I don't even think she realized she put this flowering post up. Maybe it was probably subconscious. I need validation. I need that feeling so that I can feel where I am is okay. And so that I don't have to question why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. I can just say, oh, I have friends. I have my great family. And I have lots of thumbs up and lots of people saying I look great. And I'm going to close my laptop and go to sleep, but no one's sleeping. And I think no one's sleeping because they're stressed. And I think everybody is stressed because we're not grappling with the fact that we are constantly changing. We are constantly moving. We are constantly shifting. And we are, in many ways, outgrowing our identity. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that there even may be something so drastic as somebody really isn't for you anymore. Maybe the relationship you're in isn't for you anymore. Maybe that friendship has seen its season. Not everybody is supposed to be in your life for your entire life. People come and go, seasons for everything. Maybe that's okay too. But I think if we think about that a little more, who we are, what is our current identity? What does that look like for us? Take a risk to go find something, even if it's alone. Think I'll go join that activity all by myself. Think I'll take myself to the museum. I've never done it all by myself to go and look at something and have that moment of, this is who I am now. And then you see there's a group of people that do this every Wednesday night and you join that for new connection and new experiences. Because I think at the end of the day, all of that moving and shifting and connecting with who we are is important. It's necessary. And it's all natural. It's all natural to present ourselves in our most authentic way and to meet ourselves in that presentation. Maybe life is a journey that we're coming down that road and we're continually meeting ourselves. So if you are feeling any kind of anxiousness, any kind of sadness, any kind of, I don't feel comfortable in my skin, in my friend group, in the activities that I've chosen to do, there's nothing wrong with taking a break from that, stopping and looking why that is. There's no shame in saying, I need to be who I am. I am, put your name in the blank. I am Cris. Hear me roar. All the right people are going to show up. All the right people are going to show up once you do that. All the right experiences are going to show up once you do that. And I'm doing that more and more. Again, learning right along with you. I don't think our learning journey is over until it's over. I think there's still things to be learned at 45, 65, 85. You look at someone like Jane Fonda, still talking, still advocating, still speaking her mind, still being her authentic self. Agree or not, she's showing up in her current identity. I think that's what we need to do as well. See you next time here at the Wish House.